Shalom and welcome to all my brothers and sisters across this earth. Thank you so much for coming to this video. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you'll do so today. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, as it will help many others to find this video and benefit as well. Thank you for your time. Today we're going to be speaking about the real Mashiach and the real Messianic age, and why Israel, real Jews, have rejected the Christian Greek scriptures for 2,000 years. 2,000 years straight we have rejected. We were willing to have a sword through our neck to stand by the God of Israel, God of all creation, and Him alone as the only praise on our lips. We do not pray in any other name whatsoever. True Israel only knows one name on their breath, and that is the name of Elohim, and Him alone. He is one, and there is no other besides Him. We have only ever recognized the Hebrew scriptures alone as our authority and the words of Elohim, not the Greek. So that being said, what is the Mashiach? What does the word Mashiach mean in Hebrew? Mashiach means anointed. It does not mean Messiah. Now, the term Ha-Mashiach, the anointed one, was derived to mean the Messiah. Now, Messiah is an English form of Mashiach. It's a way of saying the Hebrew word Mashiach without getting your spittle all over the place. Therefore, it's easy to say Messiah. But Mashiach means anointed. Now, there were many things that were anointed, people that were anointed, high priests, kings. There were holy objects of the temple anointed with oil. In servitude of God, kings were anointed, priests were dubbed anointed. There are many Mashiachs, many things that were anointed as well. So, for example, if you went back in time 2,000 years ago, and you were to ask anyone living in Israel, in Jerusalem at that time, 2,000 years ago, where is the Mashiach? What would they say to you? What would they respond to you? They would say, which one? Are you talking about the high priest? Are you talking about the king? Are you talking about many, many different things that would come up when you say Mashiach? They wouldn't know what you're talking about. But we all understand Ha-Mashiach, the Messiah, or the anointed one. We use this term to represent the Mashiach to come for us as Israel, the Mashiach to come in the future. Now, to Christians and Messianics and other movements, the Mashiach already came 2,000 years ago. Now, let's find out what the problem of that is. We see in real Messianic prophecies, for example, in Isaiah chapter 11, we get a description of the true Mashiach and the true Messianic age. In verse 2 and 3 of Isaiah chapter 11, we see that this Mashiach to come will be from the line of David. He will fear God, it says. He will fear God, verse 2. In verse 3, he will be filled with the fear of Elohim. And it goes on to say, he will not judge by what his ears hear, and so on and so forth. It basically says, paraphrasing here, that he will do as Elohim says. He will be under the authority of Elohim. And it says there in Isaiah chapter 11, that when he comes, the wolf will reside with the sheep, the lion will eat straw like the bull, and so on and so forth. The children, the babies, will play at the cobra's den. There will be peace on earth, even among the animal kingdom. Isaiah chapter 2, the whole chapter, speaks about they will beat their swords into plowshares. It's painting a picture of the Messianic age. Example, another one. In those days, it says that Elohim will bring about the building of a final temple. Ezekiel chapter 37, starting in verses 24 to the end. It says, and my servant David shall be a king among them, and I will multiply them, and I will set my sanctuary among them. And it says at the very end, then the nations shall know that I, Yehovah, do sanctify Israel when my temple is among them forevermore, the final temple. We see Jeremiah chapter 23. It paints a picture when the Mashiach comes that there's going to be peace in the land of Israel. When he comes, there is no peace. There has not been peace for 2,000 years. Jeremiah chapter 33. Again, during his time, Jerusalem shall dwell in safety. Over and over and over, it paints a picture of what the Messianic age will look like. We see many passages. There's in Isaiah chapter 2, Hosea chapter 3 as well, speaks about that for many days Israel shall be without a temple, without sacrifices, without all these things. But it will come back. This is the third and final temple. We see many, many paintings throughout the Hebrew scriptures of what's going to happen at the end of days. The return of the lost tribes of Israel to righteous remnant of Judah. We see this all over the place painted in Tanakh. This did not happen 2,000 years ago and hasn't happened since. Resurrection of the dead. Daniel chapter 12 verse 2. This is again in the Messianic age. There are many things that must be fulfilled. It says that in the last days, in the Messianic time period, that the nations of the earth will come to the Jewish people. This is in Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23, and say, "Take us with you, for now we know Elohim, God, is with you." And we see that happening in our time. From all over the earth, people are coming to learn from the Jewish people, from the remnant of Judah, who has always been here, the righteous remnant that God promised would always exist throughout history. We are seeing it happen before our very eyes. We are hearing the footsteps of the Messianic age of God's kingdom as we speak. But all these things must transpire before anyone can claim to be the Mashiach. As it says, during his reign, Israel shall dwell in safety. Now we look back 2,000 years ago. None of these things happened. There was not a return of the exiles to Judah. In fact, the opposite happened. The exiles were taken, the lost tribes were taken out in exile all over the place. The temple was not rebuilt, it was destroyed by the Romans. There was not world peace. There was more war and bloodshed since the time of Yeshua or Jesus than any time throughout any point of history. And most of it all in the name of Jesus throughout the Middle Ages. And we see over and over again so many things that have not transpired that must take place before anybody can claim to be the Mashiach. So what Tanakh, to put it plain and simple, I have many teachings, very, very long teachings in detail on my page. If you subscribe today, you can look at my many videos on the Messianic age that are much more detailed. This is just a briefing. But the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, does not focus on the person of the Mashiach. It only has about a dozen passages that speak about this one to come from the line of David. The focus of the Hebrew Bible is on what the world will look like when he is here. What the world will look like when he is here. There are hundreds of passages that speak about a transformed earth. Everything will be changed. World peace, the return of the exiles, the nations, the righteous of the nations joining Israel. Isaiah chapter 2 says the nations of the earth will go to Jerusalem, streaming to Israel and say, "Let us go up to the mountain of Yehovah, that he may teach us his ways and teach us his instruction. For out of Zion," that is Israel, "shall go forth the Torah." Jeremiah chapter 16 verse 19 says the nations will come to all of us, to the Israelites, and say, "We have inherited nothing but lies and vanity, for how can we make gods unto ourselves, and they are not gods?" Micah chapter 7 verses 15 through 16, it says, "Just as in the days of your coming out of the land of Egypt, I shall show unto you wonderful things. The nations shall see and be ashamed of all their power and might. They shall put their hands over their mouths in complete shock." That's what Isaiah 53 is all about. The Messianic age, when it comes, the nations will be shocked out of their skulls because they're not going to believe that we were right all along. You read the end of 52 of Isaiah, it tells you who is speaking in Isaiah 53. It is the nations and the rulers of nations that will be in utter shock when the Messianic age comes and they realize that we were right all along. So we look forward to this. The world peace, regathering of the lost tribes of Israel to the righteous remnant of Judah. The resurrection of the dead. The building of the third and final temple. All the nations coming together as one with Israel. The wicked being destroyed off this earth. The wicked will not inherit the earth. A utopian paradise of heaven and earth. And Elohim will be in our midst forever. We look forward to this time. And unfortunately, Yeshua did not bring about this, nor did he come during the time when the kingdom would come. And it's very clear when you read the Hebrew scriptures in context that all these things must occur for anyone to claim to be the Mashiach, or claim that Yeshua or anyone is the Mashiach. These things must take place, and they have not done so. So we hope and pray that these things will take place during our time. And that's what we wait for, the true messianic fulfillments of prophecy. Shalom.